So if you're a dedicated athlete trying to learn the concepts of strength and conditioning, you will come across a whole bunch of different terms. Periodization, microcycle, macrocycle. All of those are just fancy vocabulary, and I understand that they can confuse the hell out of you. This point where you are at right now, I was there once. I was also confused the hell out of myself, like when I was studying those things. This channel, like the purpose of it is to take all of this dry information and make it into understandable terms for you. I am giving you something that I wish I had. With that being said, periodization basically means planning. You see, as an athlete, you have a lot of things that you have to emphasize. If you're a strength training athlete, a power lifter, a weightlifter, a boxer, martial artist, there is rarely one thing you need. You might need strength, you might need speed, you might need endurance, aerobic endurance, anaerobic endurance, and you just can't work on those at the same time. We have to divide them into different periods. That is the most basic explanation I can give you of periodization. Basically taking a huge grand objective and dividing it into different periods. That's it. Like whether you use block periodization, linear periodization, all of that leans towards planning. Think of it like this. If you go to school, if you study in the university, chances are the school system, let's say you study psychology, you're not going to learn every single concept in one course. It doesn't work that way because we can only grasp so much. So let's say you're a psychology student. One course might be general introduction to psychology, then you go into personality types, then you go into Freud's concept or Carl Jung's concept. You can't take all of this and just shove them into one course. We don't have the mental capacity for that. Likewise, as an athlete, with so many components to emphasize, you can't shove them all into just one training block. It doesn't work that way because energy is limited. We only have so much energy and we have to plan this carefully. And periodization, to a large extent, you have to take the season into consideration. For example, in the off-season, when competitions are off the horizon, you don't need to peak for an occasion, right? So if you're a boxer, a football player, whatever, in the off-season when there is no competition, this is your opportunity to like build a general strength base, build a power base, work on aspects that you normally do not have the time for. For example, let's say you're a boxer, okay? And in the match of boxing, like endurance is paramount, anaerobic endurance, like being able to handle all of this lactic accumulation. So this is probably one of the most important aspects you need to work on when you're in the season. So you probably won't have a lot of time for like strength training and power training. You will do that, of course, but it's like on a very low level. In the off season, however, when you don't have like competitions, there is nothing like on the line, you can work on the stuff that you normally don't have time to, and this prepares you for the subsequent conditioning sessions that you will do in the in-season. And this is just an example of boxing. This can be applied to all other sports as well. For example, let's take an endurance runner. If you're like most people, you think that endurance training, like running 5K or 10K or even 2K, like that's only about conditioning. Like an endurance athlete, they could possibly have no use of strength training or power training, right? Wrong. Power training and strength training, like endurance, if you divide it into its components, it's a lot of things affecting endurance. You have strength that affects endurance, for example, how strong your ligaments are. This will make you more efficient when running economy, things like this. When you're a powerful athlete, every stride, every like step you take will make you generate more power and therefore like run in faster distances. And all of those have their appropriate training method, but they cannot be done in one and the same period. So always take the seasons into consideration when you're doing your sport and train the most important like priority for that season. When competitions are not on the line, you have nothing to lose. You can experiment, you can build a strength base, a power base. And then when the competition starts, like in the pre-season and in the in-season, you have to be sport specific. Do what exactly the sport demands primarily. And like all of those terms, macrocycle, microcycle, it doesn't have to be that confusing. Just, you can think in terms of weeks, like microcycle, you can think of that just as a training week. You don't have to use the term microcycle. And macrocycle, you can think of that as a month. Like for example, 1 month is what, 4.3 weeks or something like that? Okay, Then divide your objectives into every week for that microcycle. And then you do the same for that. And periodization, like a lot of people ask, how do you do periodization? It depends on what your goals are, what you are planning for. It's like asking, how do I plan? What are your goals? What are you training for? Every athlete, every sport, they need a different plan. It's not the same plan for everyone, and this is the whole point of it. For example, you have an athlete who has a very strong base, like he can deadlift a lot, bench press a lot, he's just very strong in however you want to test that. But he doesn't produce a lot of speed, he's not fast. Okay, then this athlete, chances are he's in need of a power training block, for instance. Likewise, you have one athlete who's like very fast, very rapid, but you see you could probably improve that with strength training to make the ceiling even higher. Then you would plan strength training for that athlete. So periodization, it depends on your goal, what you are after, what sport you do. You can't give everyone the same template. Individuals vary too much. If there is one thing that you can take away from this channel, is the principle of individualization. Every athlete is different. They all need a different approach. And when you take the concept of periodization, this becomes more clear than ever. You have to assess the needs of the athlete, the sport of the athlete, the environment, where we are in the season. I have no template I can give you on this. The purpose of this video was to just make this clear, like periodization equals planning. And how you plan is not the same for everyone. It depends on the athlete. Thanks for watching.